Hello, my name is Geo Thornton. I'm a former Manaless Dredge grinder. I played this deck pretty religiously for a solid 5 years, between 2013 and 2017. I have a Star City Games Open top 8 to my name. I played in an invitational that season and was able to go 4-0 with Manaless Dredge. However, I went 1-3 in standard. But I have some pretty well documented success playing Manaless Dredge. I have several 5.0s on Magic Online from 2014 to 2018, 2019. And I'm making my return to Magic. I want to make a few videos exploring how Manaless Dredge can fare in 2023. Um, so I began with a list here that doesn't play Force of Will. It plays for Contagion, for Sickening Shoal. I played a couple of leagues with this. It's okay. I went 2-3, 2-3, and 3-2, I believe. But it really feels like it's lacking against combo decks. So I'm playing. I'm planning on playing this list with 4 Force of Wills. Just to give a quick rundown of this list as opposed to some other Manaless Dredge lists that have existed in the past. With the advent of Grief, we actually are more of a combo aggro deck rather than a full-on combo deck. Um, we play a lot of hand disruption. We play for Cabal Therapy, for Grief. We're running the full suite of dredgers. We've got 4 Golgari Grave Troll, 4 Thug, 4 Sinkweed Imp. We're also playing 2 Shambling Shell. This serves as an additional dredger, and it serves as fodder for both Sickening Shoal and Force of Vigor. We're playing Creeping Chill as some extra reach. This card can come in very handy against some of the more aggressive decks as it buys you extra life and lets you extend that race. And you can kill enemies out of nowhere with 2 or 3 Creeping Chills milled off of a Grave Troll. A few cards to look at as we work our way through these lists and through these leagues. So one is going to be Force of Will. In the past, we've played a bunch of blue cards. We played Whirlpool Rider. We played more Forces. We've played even a Progenitus in the sideboard on occasion. Now we are pretty much just playing Force of Will, Prize Amalgam, and Narcomoeba. That's fairly light on blue cards. So one thing that we're going to try and keep note of over the next several leagues is, do we have enough cards to justify playing Force of Will? The second question, Once Upon a Time. This card, I've never been truly sold on since it's been released. It's kind of defaulted into that Jataxian Probe slot, and rightfully so. Like, I don't know that there are a ton of better options than Once Upon a Time at this point, but it's a card that if they counter it, you pretty much lose the game on the spot. You are sacrificing 2 turns should this fail to resolve, and you're giving up the ghost on what deck you're playing. In game 1 situations. Another card to keep an eye on as we move through is Shambling Shell. Do we need 4 Shambling Shell? So far, I haven't really had a whole lot of issues hitting my dredgers. I've had, I think, 4 or 5 games out of 20, 25 games played where I have not had a dredger in my first draw or my opening hand. But I think it's only like 1 or 2 of those games where I didn't get a dredger on my first draw. So those are kind of the main things that we're keeping an eye on. The other would be Sickening Shoal versus Force of Despair versus Contagion. I think that I prefer Sickening Shoal. It gives us some reach against some of the bigger creatures that can come down early in the format. Lets us take out Caves of Chaos Adventurer, where Contagion couldn't do that. It lets us take out bigger creatures like a Murktide Regent or a Dragon's Rage Channeler. This can even kill a Gristlebrand in a pinch if you pitch a Phantasmagorian or a Hogak to it. There's a lot more value to a Sickening Shoal as opposed to Contagion. Death and Taxes isn't super highly played. And I haven't seen a ton of elves since I've come back. That's where Contagion would really shine in those smaller creature matchups. Contagion's also pretty decent against Delver if you're trying to race them, where you can just shrink their bigger creatures, make their Delvers back into 1/1s, make their Dragon's Rage Channelers into 1/2s, that type of thing, without actually killing them and losing your bridges. The cases where that would have affected things, I think I've had one game out of several versus Delver where that has happened. The other thing to keep an eye on would be green card count for Force of Vigor. I think that's going to be fine. We have the Shambling Shells, we have the Once Upon a Times, we have Grave Trolls, we have a Hogak in a pinch. I think that we'll be fine there. And then the final thing is looking at our sideboard. So if we're not going to play Force of Will, do we want to play Leyline of Sanctity? Do we want to bring Chancellor back into the mix? I feel like we need something for combo. I don't know if it's Force of Will. It could be Chancellor of the Annex. It could be Leyline of Sanctity. But that'll be something for us to explore over the next several weeks. As always, if you enjoyed this content, please feel free to like, feel free to subscribe. We're fairly new to the content creation game, but hopefully we can make some pretty decent videos for you guys. All right, I'll see you guys in round 1. All right, here we go for round 1. As you can see, we've got our Force of Will version of the deck here. It's not really a whole lot to think about going in. We hope we play against Delver type decks all day. We hope to avoid playing against Mono Black Helm. We hope to avoid playing against that's really the main deck that we want to avoid. I had a league where I played against it 3 games in a row to close out the league. So here we have a pretty okay hand. We've got a Dredger. We've got Once Upon a Time. We obviously don't really mulligan that much. We don't want this Creeping Chill in our hand, but it happens. Playing Steam Vents into Delver. Okay. In that case, I'm not going to cast Once Upon a Time here. I don't want to risk losing a turn against Delver. Cabal Therapy is pretty good here. We're just going to pitch our Grave Troll, and we will go from there. Once the Grave Troll's in the graveyard, then maybe we can think about casting Once Upon a Time. But to start, I think that we're happy just discarding. Okay, we flip Delver on a Ponder. And we cast that Ponder. Okay. And another Delver. Alright, so we are actually going to cast this Once Upon a Time now. Actually, we're going to wait. We want to make sure we hit another Dredger. It's not the end of the world if we don't. And we didn't. So it's actually good that we just held off on that. We do get a Creeping Chill. And we're just going to discard here. Not the best start, but we're not that far behind here. We'll eventually cast Once Upon a Time, but we want to be able to make sure that we're hitting our dredges first. So they're gonna Brainstorm in the upkeep. They want to flip their Delver. They want to get a clock on us. Makes sense. We're really hoping to hit a Narcomoeba on our next dredge. That'll get us 2 Prize Amalgams. It'll let us really get our clock going. A Phantasmagorian would be great. A second Dredger is pretty much mandatory at this point if we're going to win this game. The best Wasteland of all time. Alright, we hit another Dredger, 2 Narcomoebas, a Hogak, and another Shadow. This was a very good draw. So we'll always yield to those. Not hitting a Cabal Therapy or a bridge is kind of rough. 10 cards down, 12 cards down. But that's fine. We'll be able to probably Cabal Therapy them next turn. We're going to have 6 power on the board. I think we're in okay shape here. We're getting these back. I might pitch the Cabal Therapy just to guarantee that we get one. Because we have the Thug. We have Grief Hogak. I guess we want to pitch the Grave Troll because then we get the Nether Shadow and we get a 6 Dredge. What are we casting for 1 and a blue? Petty Theft. That's fine. Oh. Well, I meant to click on the Cabal Therapy there, but that's fine. So we have 4 power on the board. Probably wanted to pitch. This is fine. Probably wanted to pitch the Cabal Therapy and the Troll, or the Cabal Therapy and even potentially like the Bridge, but that's okay. I don't think that they're really looking to counterspell us at this point. They almost certainly incidentally have Dazes or Forces, but I don't think that it's the end of the world. We're going to go to 8 here. Lightning Bolt, a Narcomoeba. Okay. So we had no intention of blocking there. I think they're trying to keep us off of Dread Return, but we don't play Dread Return, so that's fine. We're going to go for this Once Upon a Time. It doesn't matter if they countered at this point. They let us have it. We're just going to take Icarid. Always yes. Always healed. Dredge Grave Troll. We hit the other 2 Narcomoebas, which is pretty good. Still no bridge, which leads us to a very interesting question here. We can attack for 5. That'll put them to 10. Then next turn we'll be attacking for 6 more. I think we attack for 1 and cast Hogak. They have 6. I don't know if they actually have a counter spell. I think we go for Hogak, and then we attack for 1 potentially. So black, black. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I believe. Okay, they did have a daze. That's fine. Okay. So from here, we have 8 cards in hand. We have a Golgari Thug. The question, I suppose, we probably sack Prize Amalgam. We're going to get it back anyway. We can just therapy them and try and take like a Lightning Bolt out of their hands or a Murktide Regent. I think Murktide Regent is more likely for them to have. Another Brazen Borrower. Okay. We're just going to keep our blocker back. We're going to pitch a Bridge from Below here. That way we get 2 attackers back. So then we're going to get Prize Amalgam back. Okay, we Icarid once. Icarid twice. Dredge. Okay, we got Phantasmagorian too. That's very good. 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I think they're just dead. They can bounce any one creature, and I don't think it matters. I think they could kill any 2 creatures and it doesn't matter. Yep. All right, on to game 2. So it looks like they run a mix of Grafdigger's Cage, Surgical. They just run kind of a mix. So we're going to go ahead and bring in the Force of Vigors. We're probably going to have to keep in the Once Upon a Times. We can cut a few things. So Hogak isn't the best against them because they have counter magic. In general, they should be taking that out, but it's something that we need to consider. The other card that is a pretty easy cut usually is Prize Amalgam. We're going to shave 1, probably shave 2. We'll probably shave 1 and 1 now. Okay, we have Once Upon a Time. We have a Dredger. We'll keep Ponder. Are we willing to risk the tempo? Probably not. So one thing to remember is that we're not as all in as previous versions of Manaless Dredge have been in the past. We are very happy to just discard and never cast a spell the entire game. If they want to fight us with Surgicals, we have all 3 flavors of Dredgers that we want, so that's not the end of the world. A Grafdigger's Cage would be a little rough, but we at least they don't have anything on board at the moment that lets us kind of keep our momentum. So we'll go ahead and dredge. Okay, so we got a Grave Troll. That means that we can probably pitch. We actually got 2 dredgers. So that means that we can pitch this Icarid. Alright, so we're going to exile Grief from our graveyard, get Icarid, and then dredge Grave Troll. Okay, always yes, always yield, always yes, always yield. If they have Surgicals, this is probably where they'll come out. One thing that... Oh, okay, well, we have 1, and we are now 1-0. So one thing in the past that I've noticed is that players aren't very educated on how to play Manaless Dredge, play against Manaless Dredge at that. They try to fight over the dredgers. We have a high volume of dredgers. 18 out of our 60 cards allow us to draw more than 1 card. So what you should be doing if you're playing against Manaless Dredge is fighting over the Icarids, the Narcomoebas, in this deck Creeping Chill, but Creeping Chill isn't that big of a deal once you've taken control of the game. So just taking out the Narcomoebas, the Icarids, the Nether Shadows. Those are the cards that matter in this matchup. Bridge from Below is great to take out as well. If you're fighting over the Dredgers, you're probably fighting a losing game. All right, I'll see you guys in round 2. All right, round 2. We have to give up the ghost on what we're playing, which is fine. This hand is rough, but we have a Dredger, we have a Phantasmagorian. It's not the end of the world. We'll keep. This hand's particularly unfortunate when we have to let our opponent know what we're playing. And we're playing against lands, so this could be a very rough matchup for us. There's a Saga as well. And a Dark Depths. All right, so we have to go all in here. We'll... Oh no. Okay, it's fine. Not the end of the world. We're probably dead, but it's not the end of the world. So we wanted to pitch Phantasmagorian, that way we could get Price Amalgam online as soon as possible and Hogak on the board. It looks like our opponent is probably going to just play the slow game. They're going to just grind us out with Urza Saga. So we're going to have an active Nether Shadow here. I'm probably going to pitch the Grave Troll to try and incentivize them to crack their whatever they get here. Basically what we need is to get enough stuff to force them to activate their Graveyard Hate, but not enough stuff that we're crippled when we attempt to win the game. So they're going to make a 2-2. I guess a 3-3. One advantage of Creeping Chill in our deck is that we're not dead to a single hit from Merit Lage. It's going to be a 2-hitter. That lets us try and race. It can be very difficult at times, but it's at least something where we have a shot. They got Expedition Map, so they're all in on winning the game next turn. Or they already have Bajuka Bog, or they're trying to get Bajuka Bog. We'll see how they decide to play this. Karakas, that takes care of Hogak. It's probably worth it to cast Hogak anyway to keep them off of a mana. We'll go ahead and attack. And this turn we're going to pitch Phantasmagorian. We'll see what they get, actually. If they get Thespian Stage, we pitch Phantaz. Thespian Stage. So we'll pitch Phantasmagorian. Our goal is to make as much damage as humanly possible this coming turn. When we cast Hogak this turn, they either can activate Dark Depths or pounce our Hogak. So let's hold control. 1, 2, 3. Actually, that's all that we need, I believe. We want the extra fodder for Hogak, actually. And then we would like to hit as many bridges as possible this turn. What are we tapping a white for? Are we just going right now? Crop rotation. Okay. So we got a little bit too aggressive here, and we were punished. Oh, Yavi Maya. Okay. Okay. Are they crop rotating again? Oh, okay. So they had 2 crop rotations. That is unfortunate. Um, all right, so we got a little bit aggressive there. I don't think that it would have mattered all that much. I don't think we sideboard against the land stack because they primarily are going to be attacking us on the axis of uh, Bajuka Bog. We could bring in some number of Force of Vigors, but I think mostly we're just kind of trying to grind them out and keep them off of Merit Lage. I think we could bring in probably some number of Force of Vigor. What is it better than, though, is the question. And I don't really know that it is. We're just going to roll. This is a almost 0% matchup for us. So we're just going to kind of play the odds. So we'll take the draw. This hand is pretty decent. If we can hit a Street Wraith off of this Once Upon a Time, that would be ideal. Oh. Okay, they F6'd. I think that they expected us to play first. What did Foothills? Taiga. Exploration. Stage. Do we want another Grave Troll or do we want Phantasmagorian? I think we go Phantasmagorian. We'll pitch Phantaz. Phantasmagorian might just be wrong in this matchup. That might need to be our Force of Vigors. I don't know that it's going to matter too much at the end of the day. Like, I'm sure that they have a crop rotation here. In fact, we might see it right now. So we'll go ahead and Cabal Therapy. They like to F6 in a way that doesn't really compute to winning games of Magic. They missed a land drop on turn 1. They probably F6'd through my Phantasmagorian activations and my Creeping Chill trigger in a way that they could have beaten us. Okay, so they're going to crop rotate into a Dark Depths. I'm just going to go for this again. Thespian Stage. Okay. So, we still have a shot here. Basically, we're going to go all in on our Phantasmagorians. And then we're going to Dredge 6, and we're going to try and just get them out of the game immediately. So there's the Thespian Stage. We have 2 Phantaz, so we can... Okay, and we Dredge 6. All right, so we have a bridge. We got an Icarid. We're going to have to cast Hogak here. We can Cabal Therapy, but it's not going to do a ton. I think we definitely cast Hogak first. 1, 2, 5. Black, black. That gets us a Prize Amalgam next turn. And then I think we go ahead and therapy them. We could therapy ourselves to get Grave Troll into our graveyard, but we have a Stinkweed Imp. We're just gonna go for it. This nets us an extra damage. I don't know what we would really name here that matters. We'll just go for another crop rotation. It's unlikely they have it. Sylvan Library is fine. That doesn't do anything. And that'll be our turn. So now we're representing 3, 5, 6, 14 damage. They're at 13 life. Plus 3 more from Icarid. Basically, they're dead on the swing back of any attack that they make. That doesn't kill us. I think they expected that to kill us. Mazavith doesn't save them. Urza Saga doesn't save them. Alright, I think we won this game. So if they maze this, they take 1, 2, 3, 9. That doesn't kill them. I think we came up just a little bit short this game. Trying to think. I think we needed one more. We obviously needed one more Icarid, but I think we needed to cast Cabal Therapy a little bit earlier. Yep, I think that is it for round 2. Let's see if they let's just see if they F6 through the turn. They've had a tendency to do that. See if we can steal one. We really needed to hit a Narcomoeba, if we're being honest. Yep, untap the Hogak, take 9. Icarid dies. Make a token. Alright, we just need them to somehow make a mistake. Alright, they attacked us. We are dead. Alright, we are 1-1. We will be right back with round 3. Alright, round 3. Here we go. So this hand has a Dredger. That's about the only good thing I can say about this hand. Playing against an island deck. That could mean a lot of things. Cabal Therapy is a good draw. We have Phantasmagorian. This hand's not terrible. Here's our opponent realizing what we're on. Seeing me manually click through the steps and then discarding, pretty much the ultimate giveaway. Merchant Store. Are we playing as High Tide? Brainstorm. Okay, so we're gonna pitch Bridge, Thug, Amalgam, and then we're gonna pitch Narcomoeba, Cabal Therapy, Creeping Chill. Missing on a lot of things, but we do get to grief them and then Cabal Therapy them potentially. in a perfect world, we'll be Cabal therapying ourselves to get this Golgari Thug next turn. Like, we'll probably draw one. Okay, they forced that. That is probably the worst possible scenario for us. We will get a Icarid and then a Prize Amalgam, but now they have Brainstorm to protect their combo pieces. Exile Street Wraith. Always yield. Draw a card for turn. Attack. We get to Cabal Therapy them. They'll Brainstorm in response. I don't think we name High Tide here. We might name High Tide. It might be Cunning Wish. Oh, they shuffled. Okay. And then they Brainstorm again. I think we take the obvious line. We go for High Tide. Or Turnabout, maybe. Okay, they basically gave us no information. Ponder, Preordain, Prismatic, Vista, Merchant's Roll. Next turn we get to Hogak. I don't think that we're completely dead in the water, but we're definitely feeling it right now. They feel pretty far off from actually comboing, so that is at least a good feeling. We may be feeling differently next turn, but so I think we just attack for 3 and cast Hogak. Can we even cast Hogak? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We give up our bridge. We can cast Hogak. I think that we might have needed to Cabal Therapy ourselves to get this Golgari Thug. I think we might have got too aggressive this game. If we attack for 8, it's a 2-turn clock, regardless. I don't think we need Hogak here. We just need to live one more turn. So if we get to untap, we win the game. If they start to go off, then we have lost. We'll see, though. Okay. Does this mean they're on the reset version? We'll find out. Turnabout. Tap all of our creatures. Okay, they bought themselves a turn. Fetching and then brainstorming to protect. Oh, nope. So I think we just take High Tide. That puts them pretty far off of anything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. We just take High Tide. No need to get super creative here. Get our token and pass the turn. They are absolutely dead on board. Okay, Merchant Scroll for turnabout, and then they get a land. So they bought themselves one more turn. No need to Icarid. We're just gonna go to combat. Cast your turnabout. Cunning Wish for probably another turnabout. I'm not sure what they're looking for here. I played High Tide in a single tournament in like 2012. I don't even think this deck plays Candelabra anymore. Cunning Wish for Echoing Truth on our tokens. All right, so we win. I highly doubt they're playing something like Grafdigger's Cage. They could be playing. They're most likely playing. They're most likely playing Surgicals. So we're gonna bring in Force of Will. This will be our first real test for how Force can do. What are we cutting? That is the question. Our life total doesn't matter. I don't know that Creeping Chill matters all that much in this matchup. I like keeping our core together. We keep all of our hand disruption. We keep Hogak as a big finisher. If the game goes long and we don't completely punt our graveyard management, that's actually a legitimate card to have. We could cut Once Upon a Time. Once Upon a Time seems not great in a Force of Will deck. If they know what they're doing and know the current matchups, they would be boarding out Force of Wills. But I think Once Upon a Time is our cut. We could bring in Fairy Macabres, but I don't know that they play any sort of graveyard mechanics. I think we just board out Once Upon a Times, board in Force of Wills. We go from there. So let's see if they put us on the play. High Tide is one of the more reasonable combo matchups for us. We play a lot of hand disruption, which can be problematic for them. We bring a consistent clock, which is really the way to beat High Tide. This hand is good. We have everything that we need. And they took the play. So we just pretty much chill here. We're going to pitch Stinkweed Imp, barring some very good draw. Phantasmagorian. No. So we'll pitch Stinkweed Imp. We have Force backup, and then next turn we can grief them. They do play Grafdigger's Cage. Okay. Flusterstorm. Okay. Well, that is it for us. Let's go ahead and concede. We will bring in our Force of Vigors. Good to know. So we bring back in Once Upon a Times to pitch. We're cutting the Creeping Chills. We will probably cut some number of Hogaks. probably both Hogaks. And then we will cut probably one Nether Shadow and one Prize Amalgam. I don't like cutting blue cards for force. Two Nether Shadows. Okay, we'll take the draw. This hand is fine. Keep. Preordain, sure. So we definitely need to draw some of our hate. We'll go ahead and we'll go ahead and discard. If we can fade Cage for one more turn, then we've got some disruption. Our only dredger is the Thug. Ponder, that's fine. Brainstorm is fine. So we'll dredge. We hit a Shambling Shell. We hit Ichord and Prized Amalgam. Oh, we need to go ahead and Grief. We will pitch this Prized Amalgam. I don't think the Fluxer Storms matter. We'll just take a High Tide. From here, we are not in the best shape, but we're doing okay. So we're going to get Ichord and Prize Amalgam this turn. We'd like to hit a Dredger here. We hit Phantasmagorian and Golgari Thug. That's very good. So we'll attack. We are going to preemptively activate Phantaz because we want to get these cards into our graveyard. And we're going to keep 4 in our hand, 5 in our hand. This gives us a 5 power clock. Okay, they're high tiding. They're time spiraling. We'll go ahead and cycle. I don't believe anything there matters. Another high tide. We're probably dead, but we're going to make them go for it because 4 lands isn't a ton of room to work, even with 2 high tides, even with 3 high tides. So here's another time spiral. Oh, meditate. Okay. Draw 4. The thing about high tide is that you're not guaranteed to get it. You're highly likely to with all your draw 4s and wheels, like here. But I still have Forcible in my deck. They need to get this fairly quickly. And Brain Freeze is actually not like the end of the world for me until they kill me with it. Okay, there's a 4th high tide. 6. Cunning Wish, sure. Probably for turnabout, unless they're ready to go. Snap. That is probably fine. Let's go ahead and... Oh, I've already cast a spell. Okay. Let's just let that happen. If they're snapping, that feels like they're not killing me. Ponder. Okay. They're generating mana off of that snap, but I feel like there are better options for them to get, potentially. Merchant Scroll for probably Cunning Wish for Brain Freeze. Oh, Flusterstorm. Grafdigger's Cage. That's fine. Time Spiral. We'll make them use their Flusterstorm here and use 1 mana. It's not like anything crazy, but all right. I believe we're dead from here, so we'll be 1 and 2. Another High Tide. I'll have to look back and see if there's anything we could have done differently, but I think that we played this about right. We might have wanted to grief a turn earlier and just given up on one of the or no, we cast grief, I'm pretty sure, didn't we? Yeah, we griefed casting Prize Amalgam, and I think they forced. All right, so they choose 3 cards. I get to pick 1 to go in their hand. Merchant Scroll. Merchant Scroll for Cunning Wish, and we're dead. Brain Freeze. We needed to deal 3 more damage, and we would have won the game, actually. Dress Down. Okay. And there's the Brain Freeze. I'll just go ahead and pack it in. I don't want to make them click through all this. So, all right, I'll see you in round 4. All right, going into round 4, I looked back and I don't think that there's anything we really could have done differently that game. We just needed to get 3 more damage and then we would win the game off of our Creeping Chills. So we've lost to a combo deck and we've lost to combo lands. Combo lands is nigh unwinnable. It's a very, very difficult matchup. High Tide, if we would have accurately predicted that they played Grafdigger's Cage, and if I was more educated on the format at this point in my return, I probably would have known that. We would have at least had some game in game 2. We had to essentially just scoop it up after we failed to force the cage. This hand is great though, so we are feeling pretty happy here depending on what we're playing against. We have a Dredger, we have Disruption, and we have a Street Wraith. So all very good things. Mishra's Bauble, okay. Okay, we're playing against Delver, it looks like. I don't know, our opponent probably could have kept a better hand if they're Delver, and probably shouldn't have played their baubles if they're not Delver. Well, that was a very good draw as well. So we will pitch our imp and hopefully bully a tempo player. All right, this will give us more information on what they're playing. So they're probably 4-color pile, like an Uro pile. Nope, they're Delver. So the question, I suppose, is do we want to Once Upon a Time? And I think the answer has to be yes. And they let us have it. So we'll probably take Icarid here. If we hit Phantasmagorian, that's the card we would most like to pitch to it. So not the best dredge in the world. I think given what we just hit, I think we just discard the Sinkweed Imp and pass. We could just wait one more turn. We could discard the Icarid, which I think we will do. We'll dredge 3, and then we can pitch Sinkweed Imp if need be. They didn't flip on the Delver. Brainstorm is fine. We'd really like to find Bridge. Let's see what they're doing here. Playing another Delver. That's fine. That's probably what they drew for the turn. I think we are going to pull the trigger on cycling the Street Wraith. We'd like to hit more than... Okay, Phantasmagorian is great. Always yes. Always yield. Activate Phantasmagorian. 1, 2, 3. Order. Activate 1, 2, 3. Any order. And I believe we're in position to win the game here. Exile Street Wraith. Always yield. Dredge 5. All right, we're in very good shape now. We have a bridge. We're rolling. I think I am going to Cabal Therapy them, probably just for lightning. Okay, they can see. Okay, so now the question becomes, do we think that, given that they're on Rug Delver, are they on a single Grafdigger's Cage, or are they on Surgical Extractions? I'm not confident in what these decks play anymore. Like that's going to be one of the hardest things moving back into Magic, is figuring out what these decks are playing in their sideboard. The list that I'm looking at now plays 1 cage, 2 surgical. So we're going to go ahead and just bring in the Force of Vigors. And we will cut most likely Creeping Chill. Creeping Chill feels like the card that we should be cutting. Potentially Prize Amalgams. Probably 3 Prize Amalgams, 1 Creeping Chill. We'll go 2 and 2. See if they put us on the play. So far, nobody's put us on the play. I don't think at all, actually. I don't think a single player has taken the draw against us in any of the games that I've played since I've been back. Okay, this hand is fine. It's a little soft to surgical, but that's fine. Okay, they play a Delver. We're just going to pitch Grave Troll. It's the only play that we have, really. Unholy Heat. That's fine. Ponder. So we're going to Dredge and then Grief. Pretty much no matter what, unless we don't hit a Dredger at all. Okay. All right, that was good. Always yes, always yield. Let's see if they surgical the Creeping Chill. Nope. we're gonna activate Phantaz first. Pitch Bridge, Icarid, and I hate going this all in on a game 2, but I think that that's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna do this. We're actually gonna keep a Grave Troll just in case. I think that we'll be dead by the time we discard it if they have Graveyard Hate, but it's where we're at. So then we'll Grief, exiling black card. If we untap, we pretty much are guaranteed to win. If we untap with no Grafdigger's Cage in play, that is. Keeping the Grave Troll also gives us a outside shot at being able to beat a Grafdigger's Cage with our Force of Vigor. We're pretty soft to Surgical, but without the Street Wraith, we were always going to be pretty soft to Surgical. That's one advantage of, I've seen a mono blue Dredge deck that is pretty kind of crazy. I think I've got it saved in my decks. But it looks like it's one guy who's like top 8ing with it all the time. Okay, always yes. Always yield. All right, so we're gonna hit 5. We'll get a bridge token. They're at 9. What do you got? Bolt. Oh, Surgical and bridge. That's fine. At this point, we're just on the beatdown plan anyway. I think we're just going to be overwhelming them with damage over the next several turns, unless they have. So they're probably going to bolt this Icarid. Yep. That's fine. So they'll take 2, go to 9. As long as we can get a little bit more damage in, which obviously with Price Amalgam that helps. Apologies. As long as we can get damage in, I think that even if they play a cage right now, we're probably going to win the game. The fact that we have a board presence completely... Yeah, I was going to say, the fact that we have a board presence makes it so that cage doesn't really work as a form of hate at this late into the game. And we are 2-2. Let's see if we can manage to get 3-2. So far, we beat 2 Delver decks and lost to 2 combo decks. I wish I could say that wasn't really par for the course at this point. But combo decks have far evolved from when I was playing regularly. You could, like, there's still like the various Storm decks, like Bryant Cook here or Tony Scapone, where if you can get a discard off and play one of your griefs or one of your hate cards, you've got a shot. But a lot of these decks are so proactive at this point, and they have instant speed hate that they can play and it's generally pretty varied. It's pretty difficult to beat them, but we've always got a shot. We got an 80 card deck here, so probably a Esper Vial or a Death and Taxes, something like that, or potentially a Uropile. Okay, we're back. So our opponent sat there for about 2.5 minutes before moving on. Looks like they're on an Uropile. We have a pretty good hand. Just got to get a discard off, and then we're off to the races. A second Creeping Chill is awkward, but I don't know that it's going to come down to Creeping Chills. Yeah, let's just pitch our Stinkweed Imp and get going. Endurance. Do we... I think we cycle our Street Wraith to try and... At the very least, we'll get our Imp back. But then we might also potentially hit something that matters. We didn't. I'm fine with that trade, though. We're trading 2 cards to keep our Stinkweed Imp. That was an aggressive Endurance. Do they have a second one? I guess it doesn't matter at this point. I've already got the Stinkweed Imp. Oh, they do get our bridge, though. That's awkward. Oh, no, they don't. They stacked it wrong. All right. We'll take that every time. Very happy with how that played out. All right. We'll discard Stinkweed Imp again. Ice Fang Coidal is fine. Pitch our Imp. It's probably Uro. Yep. I think we're gonna go ahead and cast this Once Upon a Time. That's fine. Not the best draw, but we'll take it. Okay, that was pretty good. We got a Grave Troll, we got a Therapy, we got Narcomoeba. We can pitch this Phantasmagorian, and that'll give us control over when we get to activate our bridges and Icarids. We'll pitch Phantaz. We had the option to Cabal Therapy them, but I don't know that it's worth it without a bridge. They're not playing anything that's going to win the game on the spot against us. They're definitely digging for another Endurance. In an 80 card deck, I feel like that's going to be rough, but... Excuse me, sorry. In an 80 card deck, I feel like that's going to be rough, but it's not unheard of. They have Zenith, they have all kinds of stuff to dig deeper into their deck and try and hit it. Right now, they're not really doing a whole lot of anything, which feels pretty good. Uro's pretty far off from being a thing. They can hardcast Endurance if they've got it. We'll take 1. Birds of Paradise. All right. Oh, no, I didn't activate Phantaz. Well, that actually is fairly awkward for us, but I don't think that that's going to cost us. So we have 1 bridge. Probably don't want to Therapy them yet. I don't know. I feel like we could Therapy naming Green Sun Zenith or Swords to Plowshares, and it probably wouldn't be the end of the world. We'll get 1 bridge token. Okay. That's not the best for us. Next turn, we're in pretty decent shape as long as they don't... as long as they don't Endurance us next turn, I think we're still in okay shape. But we're definitely kind of on the back foot, missing that Cabal Therapy. Flash in Ice Fang Coatl. Hopefully they go for the Graveyard Uro. That lets us keep our bridge. Looks like that might be what they're going for. Oh no, they're playing Ice Fang. Okay. I don't know if they're worried about this Hogak or if they're just trying to build up a board presence, because I feel like going for the Uro would have been a better play overall. It would have taken us off of bridge. It would have gained them a little bit of life. I don't know. It's an interesting thing to think about. So we get one of our Nether Shadows. We get Icarid. And then we dread 6. Get another Creeping Chill. We're back up to 7 cards in hand. Still only one bridge. I think we just go for this Hogak. Once Upon a Time, Narcomoeba, Shambling Shell. No need to attack. Let's continue to build our board presence. So now we have a pretty massive trampling threat. The Death Touch doesn't matter because we can recast it. We've exiled some cards from our graveyard, but they aren't super important. We just have to be mindful of getting into an endurance war where they can take us off of some of that. Here comes Uro, most likely. Or Yorion. They could Yorion and draw 3 cards. So next turn we get Nether Shadow and 2 Icarids. Street Wraith. Thug. Dread 6. We had Narcomoeba and a Cabal Therapy. That was pretty good. We really need to hit another bridge. It's kind of unfortunate that we haven't hit one yet. This is most likely the turn where we actually want to kind of alpha. We'll get creatures off of the trades. We'll get creatures back next turn. I think this is the turn where we attack with everything. It just makes the most sense. We're basically only risking a single bridge. Probably should have Cabal Therapied first. A storage isn't the end of the world here, but it's definitely not preferred. That might be what they have. They definitely have something. We'll send the squad. Oh, another co-level. Okay, that's 4 of them. Get a planes and swords. Just have it all. Yep. Just have it all. But that's fine. This is still a decent amount of damage. They definitely still want to make some blocks. We'll see how they decide to do this. Okay. Nope. Okay, these blocks definitely make sense. They'll take 3, 6, 8, going to 8. Okay, we sack our Icarids. And then we can go ahead and just pitch Phantasm, most likely. We have one in the graveyard, so we could just pitch... we could pitch an Imp, just as Icarid Father. We'll pitch the Phantasmagorian. If we fade the Endurance one more turn, we're in really good shape. They're going to draw like 3 cards this turn, though. Oh, they're going to grab Endurance here. That's fine. Not the end of the world. That was a reason to keep... Okay, that's fine. That was a reason for us to keep Phantasmagorian, but I don't think that it will matter too much at the end of the day. Okay, so Yorion's in their hand. We'll just pitch a Grave Troll and pass. This game's starting to get out of hand for us, but I don't think that we're wholly dead. Just partially dead. Yeah, when we look back on this, pitching the Phantasmagorian that turn was definitely a mistake, and it may wind up costing us this game. We're just gonna probably take all this. Go to 12. Oh. Okay. I think we block the endurance. 1, 2, 3. Nah. There's a good chance they have a swords, and that would really blow us out. I'll block it. I'll just chump block it. No need to risk everything. I guess if we were going to chump block, we needed to chump block in the Uro. That was a big mistake. We cost ourselves 3 life, essentially. A few misplays here at the end. We're still in game 1, and they only have 14 minutes left. We'll make this game difficult for them. As difficult as possible. We are dead. We needed to kill the endurance. Okay. Yeah, we probably should have played that a little bit better than we did. We're gonna bring in Force of Will. I don't know what we would cut. Probably these Once Upon a Times. I want to see what these piles are playing. Blue Zenith. They're playing Surgicals and Endurances. I wasn't sure if they were bringing in any other sort of heat. I think that this is fine. We'll take the draw. We'll do the best we can. We're down a game. That's generally not where you want to be as Manaless Dredge. And we're keeping a hand with no dredgers. Also not where you want to be as Manaless Dredge. We do have a Street Wraith for Surgicals, so that's not bad. They kept 6. Let's draw a Grave Troll, a third force, or a second force. Well, we have the ability to fight. Are they gonna brainstorm at the end of turn? That's questionable. Abundant Growth is fine. Birds of Paradise. Alright, give us something good. Hogak is not really what I was looking for. We're just going to play patient. We don't need to cycle the Street Wraith yet. We're not under a ton of pressure to do so. We have 2 Force of Wills to help fight. Burrow's fine. Nether Shadow. Still not ideal. We're building towards getting a Shadow out, but it's not really accomplishing all that much for us. We really just need to find a Dredger and get our Dredge engine going. Okay, second Uro. Once again, not super important to us. They're gaining life and they're adding a 3rd card to the graveyard. Oh my, that's not good. Well, we're gonna pitch one of these Narcomoebas. It'll get the Nether Shadow online a little bit sooner. Ice Fang's fine. This is kind of the variance that you see with Manaless Dredge. Um, these games are very rare, but when they happen, they feel pretty bad. Let's cycle real quick, just see what we get. Phantasmagorian. I think we're gonna pack it in here. We'll we'll hold. We're not under like a pretty significant clock, but we're not feeling good right now. We're gonna get another shadow to block Omnath for a turn, and that'll actually let us kind of cycle our nether shadows. There's a grief. That doesn't really do anything for us yet either. That is not ideal. It's fine. Pitch Phantasmagorian. From here, we're willing to fight any sort of graveyard hate. We have Phantas in the graveyard, so now we just have to defend the fact that we have that, and we can pitch any of our spells at any point now. We can even cast this Grief if we wanted to. So what are we playing? Is this Uro? I think I'm willing to counter the Uro. So we'll take 5 this turn, going to 12. Added Yorion to hand. We'll probably just Grief away that Yorion. Oh, they're just casting it. We'll probably just force this Yorion. That's a little bit too much of a clock. And we just have to fade the graveyard hate. They'll probably will. I know they have 0 cards in hand. They did force to get this, so they're gonna draw 2, 3. I mean, we did what we had to do. Thug. Okay. So we are in business, sort of. So we're going to activate Phantasmagorian. And then we'll grief them with the Phantaz. Take the Brainstorm. And this gives us an outside shot. We're pretty dead. We're taking 5 flying. Just took us way. Okay, yeah, we're dead. All right. It took us way too long to get going there. It's okay though. 2 and 3. We played some decent Magic there. The last game we had a few mistakes, but I think overall things went pretty all right. Thoughts so far? No issues with blue cards with Force of Will. That may change in the future. I still feel like we're running probably the bare minimum number of blue cards that I would even dream of running to be able to play this in the sideboard. Force of Vigor, still the worst feeling best card to come into our deck. Sickening Shoal, we didn't really have a matchup where we needed that. And then Fairy Macabre, we also didn't really have a matchup where we needed that. Game 2 against High Tide, I wish that I would have brought in the Force of Vigors. Just knowing that for the future is a good lesson. Once Upon a Time still feels like the worst card in my deck. And yeah, I'm overall pretty happy. We're making just some strides, gaining more format knowledge, and I will see you guys in another video.